Hello, everyone. This is episode 3, and we're just going to be describing how to input information into the CRM and how that works and the mechanics by which you would be going about that. So, in episode 1, we created test CRM as our document. We linked it to in the assumption. So we're just going to be continuing to use that for our example. So the main thing is that when you're inputting information in the CRM, just make sure that you're updating this as we mentioned in CRM 1. But also another requirement is this year of implementation and this lifetime equipment are going to be need to enter for any analysis, just because if we're trying to understand the NPV of the CRM, we're going to need to understand the lifetime and when we're expecting to go about implementing it. If you just want to implement it today, then just go about putting in the year, like the current year, and that'll adjust properly. So let's do that. So let's go ahead and put 2023 as the year of implementation. So we're going to start this year, and we're also going to go ahead and say it has a 10-year life span. So perfect. And now pretty much everything works. So anything else in here should be, like, we don't necessarily need to add a cost of implementation to add disposal costs, for instance. And essentially this is kind of just going to give us an overview of the cumulative present value of the net savings. Just making a note that this isn't factoring in the residual value, so it isn't a true life cycle cost analysis like through the years, like this section would be over here. However, it is pretty powerful in being able to see the yearly cash flows, what's changing, and kind of the value of it too. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's put in a cost of implementation of $1,000. So right away you can go ahead and see here that for the first until 2032, the present value is only going to be $1,000. Right? Because essentially up until that point, there's no other maintenance costs, there's no savings, there's no nothing. And then in 10 years, the reason why this changes over here is because it's essentially assuming inflation. And this is why the lower and the upper limit, there is a difference between, you can see, this is 1,591. This is 1,602. Because this is essentially pricing in inflation, and then it's assuming that there's going to be another cost of implementation in the year 2033, essentially. And then, so yeah, if you want to say there's disposal costs, so let's say there's $100 disposal costs. So right here, you can see that it changes to reflect that. You can go and put a rebate on purchase. So let's say, even though we spent $1,000, it only cost us $500 because we got that, we got some money back. Explicit maintenance cost is essentially in the current year, what would the maintenance cost be? So let's say it's $50 in 2023, and so that's essentially going to be adjusted and reflected all the way throughout the CRM. Okay, and so other costs as a percentage of RV. So this is essentially maintenance or any other costs that if you don't have the explicit cost over here, you could just go in and put something like 2%. And that would be reflected into the analysis. So now getting on to the electricity usage and the utility usage. So essentially, this can be done in multiple ways. So if you see up here, there's this baseline system, and then there's this CRM system. So the way that we're currently doing it, and we've currently gone about it, this is just doing a basic LCC and not an LCC comparison with a baseline. However, if we were to put information here into the baseline, just making sure that you do put the equipment purchase date and the equipment lifetime if you're trying to do replacement cost and disposal cost. As long as you do that, it'll pretty much give you a comparison as opposed to just like how much electricity is. And so I'll kind of go over the ways that you could go about this. So the first way, and this is the way I think a lot of other groups have done this, and this is the way I think most people approach it, is just by putting in electricity usage. So if this CRM consumed 500 kilowatt hours, this is essentially going to be, and you could go over the calculator and you could essentially get the life cycle cost analysis from this CRM as this is currently. Right? So now if you had an old baseline system, let's say, and you purchased it on June the 1st, 2018. So you purchased a little while back, and it actually lasts 15 years as opposed to the 10 years for the CRM. And you put replacement cost today. So let's say that if this broke, it would cost us $500. So it's a lot cheaper than the new CRM. But the disposal costs are about the same, right? So it costs the same amount to have somebody come in there and whatever. And the percentage of RAV is actually 1%. So it's a little bit cheaper. However, let's say the electricity usage is now 5,000 kilowatts, so a lot more. So as you can see, well, that was a little too much just because it now pretty much makes it cost effective the entire way through. But let's say we went to about 1,000 kilowatts or something like that. As you can see right here, even though so this is pretty much factoring in 2018. Essentially, it's assuming that 15 years from 2018, there's going to be another cost, and every 15 years subsequent, and this is going to be the replacement value. So it's essentially taking the differences of these two and essentially giving you essentially the net savings of going forward with the CRM as opposed to the baseline system as it currently is. So that's one way of doing it. However, the way the energy audit has given us the information so far has been a little bit different because it's been on a institution-wide basis. And so that works fine. So this is the number that we have in our energy audits right now. So it's 47,104. And that's for the entire institution. And each energy audit kind of just shows the difference. So let's do the exact same thing where it's instead of consuming that, it's now consuming that. And if there was about like 2,890 or something like that, and if you type in the exact same thing over here, it will factor in absolutely nothing. Just because if you're specifying that the baseline usage is using this many gigajoules, and now with the CRM it's using this many gigajoules, it's essentially assuming that there is no usage change, so it's not going to get factored in whatsoever. So yeah, that's kind of the basics on how to go about entering into information in here. It is somewhat simple, just given that if you are just separating both the CRM system and the baseline system, and then you're just inputting the information in here as necessary, everything should work as long as you just go about ensuring that these little notes here, that you follow them and making sure that you have inputted the equipment purchase date, the lifetime, and the year of implementation and the equipment lifetime.